There is a specific stretch of years where most Americans hit something I call the zero net worth wall. It is that moment, usually somewhere in your late 20s or 30s, when you look around at everyone else's life and genuinely cannot tell if you are behind, on track, or just imagining the whole thing. There is real data behind this feeling, and once you actually see the numbers, most of the panic quietly disappears. Let me describe the feeling first, because I think you already know it. You are not doing badly, exactly. You have a job, you pay your bills, but you scroll past someone's new house or a friend's wedding, or a coworker mentioning their retirement account, and something tightens in your chest. A quiet voice asks, "Am I behind?" Not behind some made-up finish line. Behind everyone else, the people who all seem to be quietly moving forward while you stay in place. Here's the first thing almost nobody tells you. That feeling is not a personal failure. It is closer to a universal phase. And the data backs that up clearly. According to the Federal Reserve's Survey of Consumer Finances, the median net worth for households aged 25 to 29 is around $31,000. For ages 30 to 34, it rises to roughly $88,000. By 35 to 39, the median climbs to around $138,000. These are not massive numbers. For a huge portion of your 20s, a median net worth near zero, or even negative once you account for student loans and early career debt, is not unusual at all. It is closer to the norm. Now here is where the panic usually comes from, and where the real story gets interesting. You almost never compare yourself to the median. You compare yourself to the loudest, most visible version of your peer group, the version showing up in your feed, the coworker who got the promotion, the friend who just bought a house. Without realizing it, you are often comparing yourself to something closer to the average, not the median, and those two numbers are wildly different. The average net worth for households in their 30s is significantly higher than the median, sometimes by hundreds of thousands of dollars, because the average gets dragged upward by a relatively small number of extremely wealthy households. Picture a room with 10 ordinary people and one billionaire. The average net worth of that room is enormous. The median, the number that represents the actual person standing in the middle, barely changes at all. When you compare your real life to an average number, you are not comparing yourself to a typical person. You are comparing yourself to a number that almost nobody actually represents. This single distinction, average versus median, quietly explains an enormous amount of unnecessary financial anxiety in this country. So why does net worth look so small, or even negative, in your 20s and early 30s in the first place? This part is not a flaw in you. It is closer to a structural feature of how financial life unfolds. Many people enter their 20s carrying student loan debt before they have earned a single dollar. Early career salaries tend to be lower, while major life expenses, first apartments, first cars, sometimes weddings, often land in this exact window. And the asset that eventually becomes a large part of most people's net worth, home equity, usually does not start accumulating in any meaningful way until the early 30s at the earliest, and often later. According to the same Fed data, median home equity for someone in their late 20s sits around $12,000. By the early 30s, it has only grown to roughly $52,000. The slow climb is normal. It is not evidence that you did something wrong. This connects directly to something I talk about constantly on this channel, the wealth ladder. Stage 1 is earning. Stage 2 is protecting. Most people in their 20s and early 30s are still standing firmly in stage 1, sometimes just stepping into stage 2. Multiplying, the stage where net worth actually starts compounding visibly, typically does not show its full power until years of consistent protecting have already happened quietly in the background. If your net worth looks small right now, it likely does not mean you are behind. It often just means you are standing exactly where the data says almost everyone stands at this exact stage. Here is what I want you to actually do with this information, instead of just feeling better for 5 minutes and then forgetting it. Stop comparing your number to people around you entirely. Compare your number only to your own number from 1 year ago. That comparison removes the noise of other people's mortgages, other people's family money, other people's very different starting points, and leaves you with the only comparison that actually means anything, your own trajectory. If your net worth today is higher than it was 12 months ago, even by a small amount, you are doing the actual work. regardless of what the loudest version of your peer group appears to be doing online. The zero net worth wall is real. The data confirms it exists for a huge percentage of Americans in their 20s and 30s. But a wall is not a verdict. It is a stage, the same way every single stage on the